Hey, so today we're going to talk about my natural birth. So I just want to preface this video with saying that every birth, pregnancy, labor, delivery, and even conception experience is different. And I'm never want to project a specific outcome based on anything. Anything can happen. Some people have different experiences no matter what the process was. And I feel like one of the things we need to do as a community is make sure that we're respecting that. So I can understand if someone out there has experienced a traumatic natural birth, is completely against natural births. I understand if somebody out there has experienced birth traumas that cause them to view births differently. But I will say that this video is going to be about how amazing my natural birth experience was. So just to kind of set the tone for where we were. So I had started going down this rabbit hole of holistic health and alternative medicine and being a doula, working with laboring mothers and all these different types of things. And I had decided that I wanted to be a doula. Like I was in love with everything it's about. I was diving deep into different types of maternal care, different types of postpartum care, and how to be a doula, what a doula does, what midwives are, and all of these things. So I really started to dive deeper into that. And during that process, I found out I was pregnant. And so Quan always says that I manifested this birth because I had really made birth and maternal care and holistic health such a huge focus in my life. So to find out I was pregnant was kind of just like, all right, everything that I wanted to be for someone else, now I get this opportunity to find it for myself. So we were in California at the time, and out there in California, there's so many different resources for really almost everything you want to do. Anything you could think of, most likely you can find somewhere in California that has resources about it, that offers it or something. So out there it was really easy. There's a strong doula network. I was able to find specifically Black doulas and doulas of color, which is, I wanted a doula that looked like me and had a similar background as me. So that was great. I found a birth center there. It was great. So we thought about moving to Nevada at some point, and we ended up strongly considering it. Went to Nevada, found a doula. She was great. Melissa is great. If anybody is in the Vegas area, I highly recommend Melissa. She's great. She still checks onto me to this day, even though we didn't end up moving and going with her. But she was awesome. And we ended up moving back home, which after being in California for almost a year, coming back and realizing how little resources we had here was almost like a culture shock. So finding birth centers, finding midwives that do home births, finding doulas was a completely different experience. But I knew exactly the type of birth I wanted and the type of doula I wanted and the type of care that I wanted. So from there, we found our doula. It was great. She's great, and I recommend her. Her name is Janay, and I'll have her contact information below. But we found Janay. We got our space situated, and I was ready to have this baby. So, and I'll talk more about prenatal care and postpartum care probably in another video. But basically, I was in the right mindset to have this natural birth. And I also knew that I wanted to not only have a natural birth, but to have a water birth. For those of you that don't really know what a natural birth is or what that means, when people say a natural birth, they're literally just talking about without any pain medication. Basically, without pain medication. Some people, when they're referring to natural births, also mean without any medical intervention or with as little intervention as possible, a really holistic approach to care. So when I'm speaking about a natural birth, I'm literally talking about delivering my baby vaginally without any medication. That was my goal. For those of you that know my story, I've had a pregnancy prior, and at that time I was in a hospital. I didn't know anything about natural births. I was only 18 or 19, and I got an epidural. So this time and this go around was a complete different experience, and I knew exactly what I wanted. I was more in tune with my body. I understood how my body works, how pregnancy works. So I was very gung-ho about having a natural birth, trusting my body, listening to my body for the contractions, knowing instinctively when I need to be pushing, what I need to do. Like, I was in the headspace, like, I was built for this. That's the mindset that I went into with this natural birth. So, with the birth center, you work with midwives. At the birth center that I went to. And they do a really great job at kind of preparing you for their process. You go through childbirth classes, you go through a mother and baby class. It's just a really nice piece to help guide you into this journey. So I remember the day before was Father's Day, and we were all just chilling, hanging out, eating. I even drove, and I felt contractions. So I say about a month prior, I thought I was experiencing labor contractions, but I later realized that I had false labor. So, and I can discuss that more, but basically false labor is your body preparing you for labor. So you're going into the process of you're getting contractions, but they're not contractions that progress your labor, or they don't dilate you. They're just practice contractions, basically. So I had experienced that. I kind of knew what that felt like, and I knew that this wasn't it. So I drove, I walked around, I hung out, I took a nap. I just was, going through the contractions, breathing through them. It wasn't a big deal. At some point, I realized that I've been feeling this for some hours, off and on, and I started timing them just to see how far apart they were. Still pretty far apart. And I'm talking like 15, 20 minutes apart. Nothing serious. Into the night, I couldn't really sleep. I was uncomfortable. I was trying all my personal comfort measures. Texting my doula, keeping her in the loop, but really just relaxing, nothing to panic about. I was going through the process of walking through. I ended up taking a shower. Laid down, walking around, bouncing the ball a little bit, just trying all the ways to make myself comfortable. So, getting tired at this point, I decided to try to get some sleep, but I knew that the baby was coming soon. As in within the next 48 hours. Like, I knew I would be in labor within the next 2 days. I started to feel the contractions getting stronger and stronger more often, to the point where I had to concentrate to breathe through them. And that's when I knew I was showing the early signs of labor. Like, I'm going through and I'm trying to remind myself to breathe through them because the pain was getting stronger. And contractions, I describe them in a way that's kind of like, it feels like this revving up. You know, a contraction is very hard to describe. It doesn't really feel like a cramp. It literally feels like this revving up of like a wave of pain. But pain that you may not be familiar with. Like a different type of pain. Like I can't think of any other time where I've experienced something that felt like that. The contractions weren't really calming down. So I got to the point where I couldn't talk through the contractions. And that's when we headed up to the birth center. I called the midwife, let her know that I was ready to come in. She was already there waiting for me. I called my doula, let her know to meet us there. And we headed up. Told everyone in the house, hey, this is not a drill. Baby's on the way. So we drove up there, and it's so crazy because I just remember like me and Quan looking at the sky, and there was this beautiful purple, pink sunrise time. And it was like this peace and excitement. And I was just so ready to go through this process. So when we went to the birth center, they welcomed me in, and I'm going through the questions, and they checked my dilation, and I'm 7 centimeters. So I did the majority of my laboring at home. Once you're around 10 centimeters, it's time to deliver your baby. So I bounced on the ball there, kind of stripped down, got into something comfortable. Quan is holding my hand, my sisters, my mom, they're all surrounding me. The doula's rubbing my back, and we're just going in. At one point, I'm like, yo, I really need to lay down. Like, can I lay down? I'm exhausted. These contractions are literally taking everything out of me, and I'm exhausted. I'm laying down, and my water breaks. Boom. As I'm laying down, I just feel this gush, and this water is dropping, and it was time. It was time. And I'm like, hey, I'm ready to get in the birth tub. So I'm trying to breathe through the contractions. They're strong and they're powerful. I can feel that my baby is coming down. And all I'm thinking about is I'm about to go into labor, and I'm about to push out this baby that I've been holding on to for 9 months, that I've been talking to and bonding with. And I'm just praying everything is going to go successful and that we just have a healthy child. We didn't even know the gender at this point. We didn't want to know until delivery. And they helped me get into the birthing tub, and I'm laying down, like I'm sinking all the way down, right? And I feel this immense pressure, and I'm just like, okay, is it time? Like, is it ready? And through all the training and all the classes and all these talks, and even through my books, my own personal research, you think that you think that you're just gonna be like, boom, I'm gonna do it. But I'm still looking at the midwife and the doula like, when do I push? Do I push now? You know, is it time to push? And I realized that I could feel everything. And I literally felt like I felt like I didn't have a choice. My body was going to push. So as my body and the contractions are literally pushing my baby down, I'm screaming at the top of my, I literally was hoarse because I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I know there was other women in there, and I don't know what they were thinking when I was screaming. Like, hopefully I didn't scare them, but I was literally screaming because it was so much pressure, and I don't know. It just was like belting out of me. And at one point, I feel like I screamed like 3 or 4 times, like 3 or 4 waves of like my screams at the top of my lungs.
Nice job. Good job, Amber. You're doing a great job.
I feel like it keeps going back in.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
It is?
Yeah. All these times it's not going to go back in.
Okay.
Come out.
Okay. Are my legs open wide enough? Okay. You need another one?
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, baby, let's go. Let's go, baby.
Breathe.
Okay. Okay.
Breathe.
Good.
Great, Amber. Breathe. It's hard. Breathe. It's okay. Slow. Yeah. Wait till the next contraction comes to help you.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's burning.
Yeah, it's burning a lot. It's okay, Deb.
I feel fine.
Good.
So when you have that next contraction, what I want to do is lots of little pushes. Little ones like that. Quick and short. Okay?
Oh.
Yeah, it's baby moving.
Okay.
And at one point, the midwife was like, you know what? On the next one, instead of screaming, try to take that energy and use it to push.
Come on, baby, let's go!
Breath in.
Got it.
Hold that air inside. No more screaming. And push.
Go.
Push, 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 push.
The head is out.
Push and
Head is out.
go,
Right
baby.
there. You
The
got
head
it.
is out. The
You're
head is
doing
out.
great.
What's up?
Right there.
To push. And I literally held in that scream and pushed out my baby. Boom. Like I did that.
You're gonna be looking at your baby
Listen to me.
soon.
Listen.
Yes.
We just need to get the shoulders out. Okay? What I want you to do is take a great big deep breath, and I want you to push. I want you to keep your air inside, and I want you to keep the sound inside.
Okay.
Okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Like I felt overwhelmed. I felt anxious. It was scary. Like every possible emotion that's on this spectrum of the human emotions, I felt. And I remember distinctly thinking, like, I don't think I can do this. Like, y'all gonna have to come in and get this baby out of me because I don't think I have enough energy left to even push them out. Like, I don't even feel like I can, like, get the strength to push this child out. And I don't know what I said. I felt like I was in like this hazy, like, I don't know if my eyes were open or closed. I don't even know. I was in this hazy space. And I just remember everyone around me saying, you can do it, you know, do your thing, la la la. You're strong, you got this, you're doing great, all of these things. Push that baby out, boom, held that baby. She was 8 pounds, 14 ounces, or 16 ounces,
Nice.
and we did it.
Good job.
Hey, Mama, push. We just got to reach down and grab your baby. Look.
Oh my God.
Beautiful. Oh, so beautiful.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Heart rate's good.
Baby. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. That's right. There's a breath.
Oh, here, let's take a look. Do we have a boy or do we have a girl? Open the legs up.
You got it.
You have a girl.
Check the time. Check the time. Check the time. Check the time.
25. I think.
So that was it. That was the summary of my natural birth. There's so many details and so many things that happened that it's hard to like recall the full story. But I will definitely do a follow-up video with any questions. Like if you have any questions about natural birth, if you want to know, you know, how I felt during different situations, if I experienced any specific things, we can talk about that in another video, in a future video. Just leave your comments below or send me an email if it's something more personal. And I'll definitely be happy to share. I think that one of the things that made me feel comfortable to go on this natural birth journey and to just be kind of comforted in the idea of it was because I had seen so many people sharing their stories about their natural birth, about their water birth, and it just gave me a sense of peace. So I want to do that for you guys. I want to do that for anybody out there that's considering a natural birth, or anybody out there that's like, oh, I could never do a natural birth. Like, what? You can. Maybe you can. Maybe you want to. Maybe it's something that deep down you just want to see if you can do it. I think that was a big thing for me too. Like, can I do it? Am I strong enough to get through the pain and get past my fear to do it? Am I physically able to do it? Am I low risk enough? And is this an option for me? You know? So yeah, like if you have any questions or if there's anything specific you want to talk about or know about, please let me know. And I'm just thankful that you guys are listening and care about this story. Before we leave, the last thing I want to say again is that if you are unable to have a natural birth, your birth story is just as amazing, just as important, and I would love to hear that too. So if you want to share your birth stories below, please leave a comment or send me an email, leave me a message. That would be great. But again, I just thank you guys. Thank you for being here with me, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Bye.